Welcome to Autism Knows No Borders, a podcast where people connected to autism inspire change and build community. Together with the Global Autism Project, I'm your host, Rachel Harmon, a professional with over a decade of experience in the field of autism services, outreach, and advocacy. What if the world could see an autistic daughter through her father's eyes? This episode is part 2 of my conversation with Russell Allen, where we talk about the creative process behind his recently released acoustic song titled Love Her Like I Do, about his autistic daughter, Ava. Russell is an American singer best known as the vocalist of Symphony X, a band which is universally considered one of the top-tier progressive metal acts in the world. He's also one of the main vocalists in the Trans-Siberian Orchestra and has collaborated with numerous metal supergroups of international acclaim. Among other things, we discuss the story behind Love Her Like I Do, Russell's therapeutic journey through writing and releasing the song, what Ava herself thought of the song, lessons learned from parenting an autistic child, and tips for parents just beginning their autism journey. In this episode, discover what's possible when every note carries hope. And now I present you, Russell Allen.
She came home from school one day, when she was little, probably about, I'd say 10, maybe 9 or 10. And we were hearing all the stuff from the school, the teachers, how she just wasn't really interacting with the other kids. And so she's always kind of by herself. And she came and said, I don't understand how I'm supposed to be, Dad. And everyone's playing, but no one plays with me. And that just was like, just stuck, so that kind of anchored that feeling in my heart that, I need to do something about this. What can I do? Because I can't go down there and tell those kids, you better play with my daughter or else, that's what I wanted to say. You get so angry, when your kid's being shunned and not accepted. And it's just, it drives me nuts, And I hate bullies. I always did when I was a kid, I'm not trying to say I'm Mr. Awesome, but I did stand up to a bully in school when I was in middle school because he was picking on a girl who we would say now had special needs. It just didn't resonate with me. Maybe that's why God gave me Ava, because at an early age I stood up for that person. And it sucked, just to go off topic a little bit, but just to give you an insight as to who I am. So obviously I can't do that. I can't go down there and stand up to the bullies. Being a father. So how could I stand up for her and everybody like her? So I figured, let me use my voice and let me make a song about this because it's important. And I've been going through my own personal tragedies in my life too. I was involved in a really bad accident on the road. I lost some friends in that accident who passed away and stuff. And so I was really dealing with a lot of PTSD stuff and just a lot of soul searching about, what's important in life. Being with family, staying home, maybe not chasing this dream so much, and went through a bunch of phases. And so that's kind of the atmosphere that this kind of song came around in. So this was one of the first things I'd actually written since that whole thing had happened to me. This is years ago. This is about 2 or 3 years before this happened. I started writing the song. So then I started working on the song. I got the verses together pretty quick because it's just her, it's just, every day she wakes up and begins to have a conversation with herself. And that's what she does. She's talking to her, her characters or whatever, her imaginary society in her mind, because, whatever she's created to help her cope. And then running outside barefoot in the snow, that's that sensory stuff. And people who know this were going to know right away what I'm talking about.
She sits alone and stares out of the windows in the bus on the way to school. She says it doesn't matter when the bully's laughing at her. Kids can be so cruel. Daddy, I don't understand the way I'm supposed to be. When we're on the playground, all the kids are having fun, but not with me.
And so that was the easy part. And, of course, the choruses didn't quite come around till she had gotten a little older, because I just kind of hit a wall with it. I just didn't really have, there wasn't enough of her life yet. to have happen. And so once she started, taking comfort with these sort of colors and these characters and colors and things that she would bring to life in her mind, it seemed like that was her safe space. That was her comfort area. That was the things that made her happy. So that's why that periwinkle, that's her favorite color, and
Oh,
lavender, all this other stuff. And Violet's Many Shades, I'll talk to her and say, it's okay. We're here for you, basically. There's a lot of words in that song that aren't said but are implied. And that's what it took me to get to that point with it. And of course, once I had the track, I'd had it for a while, pretty much ready to go. And I'm in a group called the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I'm very fortunate to be introduced to so many talented people through that. It's a mix of rock and metal people in my world, but also with great people from the theater world, from Broadway, these type of entertainers and performers and dancers and stuff. And it's such a large production. I got to meet so many people. And through that, I met a good friend of mine, Caleb Johnson, he has the American Idol winner here in America. It's a big talent show like that Eurovision thing you guys got, something similar to that.
hmm.
He won it, a while back. And when we got together and talked, we became pretty quick friends. And then this was years ago. We went to spend a couple days off around the holidays with his cousin, and his cousin was married to a guy named Brian Sutton, who's the acoustic guitar player that's on the track that I played the song for at his house at that time on my phone with a piano thing that I had done to kind of show him the pattern, because it's a little interesting pattern. I couldn't pick it. And I was like, I don't know if you could play this. And he was just one of those amazing artists that just took a K Pro. Oh, it's in C sharp, it's kind of weird key, but like this. He's just playing it right there. I'm like, yeah, that's it. He goes, sing it. So I go, but you don't know it. He goes, just sing it. I'll follow you. I'm like, okay. So I sang the whole song and he followed me the whole way. And I had that on video somewhere too. Somebody filmed that. And I was just like,
Amazing.
wow. And then at the end, and this is a Grammy Award winning Nashville top guy, and he's like, I really like the song. I'd love to do it for you. I'm like, oh, okay. Like that would be great. And so he not only played on it, but he actually made a beautiful arrangement, added some cool like beat, hitting the guitar for the beat and things like that, and just some really cool stuff. Introduced me to a great fiddle player and got the performances down. And before you knew it, I had this amazing song. I mean, I got the tracks back on the tour, that Brian, and I was with Caleb. And I was just so overwhelmed with emotion because it was so beautiful what he played. Because and Caleb was like, "What's the matter, man?" I'm like, "Nothing, man. Brian just sent me the tracks back. I can't believe this." Something that sounded like good. It was my heart and my words, and it's about my daughter. But to have that level of accompaniment, just took it to a whole new place. And once I had the track all wrapped up and ready to go, I still waited, like a year or so because it was 2024. It was when I kind of had it done. The election here in America is coming out. I just was like, I don't follow politics. I'm not a political guy, but I can see that the world is just all talking about this, all up in arms and all this other kind of stuff. I just felt like this message needs to be heard. I don't want to put a song out in the middle of this environment. And then so I waited. And so then this April came around and I figured, you know what? This is a better time. 2025 didn't really feel good. So I said 2026, okay, this is good. And so in our country, I get, is Autism Acceptance Month a worldwide thing? Is it April for you guys? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah, it's
yeah, so I
international.
figured, all right, so this is great. And then, of course, now there's this war and all this other garbage going on in the world. It's like I just realized there's no time. There's never a perfect time. And the world's a big place. And I just started thinking outside of my bubble of home and saying, okay, let me get this out there. So I've had great response internationally, even here at home too, but from people all over the world. Are just so happy that I put this out and stuff. So that's kind of the whole story of the song, of kind of how it came to be.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I mean, as I said earlier, it's a beautiful song, and the first time I heard it, I started to get choked up too.
Yeah.
Like, you get really raw, and putting yourself in Ava's shoes, in your shoes as a parent, really feeling the emotions. It's even parents who aren't parents of autistic children can relate because they imagine their own kids maybe being bullied or left out.
Yeah.
It's very powerful. I'm not really sure about the rock and metal world. Would you say that it's Maybe my husband's gonna kill me for this, but would you say that it's not known for emotional vulnerability?
Yeah, I would say on the whole, it's a different type of emotional vulnerability.
Okay.
It depends on the genre that you're looking at. Again, here we go with labels. But metal must have 50 different subgenres within it. I'm sure there's some stuff in there that maybe touches a little more on it. I come from the progressive side of metal, so there are plenty of ballads and things like that,
Okay.
piano-driven stuff. And again, though, nothing like now I haven't heard everything. There may be a band I haven't heard yet that does this very well. Something that's so, I guess, vulnerable and personal, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll get in metal, you'll get great performances, emotional performances, but maybe it's about a character and a story, or it's some sort of fantasy environment or something like this. So you will get that kind of stuff. But yeah, just a straight up like what you're hearing in this song, I don't really hear a lot of that in my world. But everybody in my world loves it, and they're really happy that I
Yeah.
did it. And because in the end, we're all musicians, and most of us, even though this is the genre we've kind of made a career in, we still gravitate to great music if it's pop, country,
Right.
rap, whatever it is if it's good, it's good. It's like musicians pretty much across the board are like, that's good, man. That's a good song. And
Mhm.
we were all chasing that.
Yeah, of course. There's like a common appreciation for good music.
Mhm.
Would you say that there was a kind of therapeutic or process for you in writing and releasing this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I was really, really struggling with PTSD, in the early years there, and this is a huge, therapeutic thing for me. I think a part of me was, even though I was kinda waiting for Ava to come along, it was painful to write this song. These are real things that are happening, and I would cry. I still can't listen to it. Once that second verse drops, it's like, "Oh, geez," because I was there. We
Yeah.
lived all this, it's really emotional. But that's another thing too, I think that's really healthy. I had to do that. I had to feel that pain for her and for me and for our family. And a lot of times I think, a lot of us want to put that in a box and say like, okay, I don't want to open that box. Let's move on. Let's put that box somewhere deep in the basement and not bring that out because it's painful. But it's something that I definitely benefited from facing. And music is right in your face. Like a movie or music, any audio visual stuff, especially for a person like me, it's right there. This is it because it hits you. It's an emotional trigger, if you will, that when you hear something like this, and especially when I'm listening or working on a song like that, it definitely hit me really hard. So, and sometimes I would have to stop working. I
Mhm.
mean, I would just be sitting here in the studio, just have my head in my hand. I'd be dry the tears from my eyes going, gosh, God, man, why is this happening? The song goes deeper than just, oh, I'm writing some lyrics and here, let me have a pretty guitar part. Each note, each move, it's like, then I'm just like struggling with it, trying to find those answers that aren't there. And then you just come to the point where then it's just how you feel. And so that's really what it was for me to be able to move forward in our lives. It's just to have a song like this. It's definitely helped me and my family and my friends and Ava as well.
Colors dancing to the sound of a rainbow, tears falling upon the ground, and I can't help but sigh and pray that she will be alright. If I could make one wish come true, I'd bring her to a world where everyone knew her name and played her games and loved her like I
What does Ava think of the song? Was she involved in the creative process at all?
She wasn't involved as much as she was like, she was like, "Well, that's not exactly my life. I did that." She's very I'm like, "Well, Ava, I have to summarize. I only have so many, minutes in this song." She's like, "Well, it's fine, it's fine." And then I had my sister come and sing on it with me. She does the harmony parts with me, and that's her aunt. And so she loves her aunt. They have a great relationship. And so once I brought her into the studio here and played her the final tracks after Aunt Stephanie had sang on it, she broke down. She had a real emotional response. It was like
Oh,
it moved us all. It just really got us all. And she's like, "That's me. That's my life." It
yeah.
was heavy. It was yeah. She really loves it. So you know.
Okay. What do you hope that she kind of feels or takes away from it?
Well, I think I don't know. I really haven't talked to her about that. I mean, I would hope that I know that she's positive about it, and I think for the most part, she'd like the song to open up people's hearts to her and to people like her. That's really what the
Mhm.
goal is. People have heard it, even my son's friends who are in younger grades, like, "Hey, your dad's song is really, really awesome. It's a great song, about your sister." It's like, "Oh, thanks." And so then there's been some positives, from that. People will say hi to her at school and things like that, because of it. It's like,
Mm.
and that's a blessing. I'm that's where my gift helps. That's like I said, if I figured if I could get this song out there, maybe some good-hearted people, even if they're young, there's still good-hearted people out there, that are be like, you know what, that's a really great song. I'd like to get to know who that was about. And so that piques people's interest and want to know who Ava is, and so
Mhm.
that's it's kind of like me, my hope, but for her, I think she feels that this song definitely can open up some hearts and stuff because
Yeah.
it's told from her perspective. It's told from mine. It's an observation. And that's how I think she would like people to have that observation of her and people like her. It's like, wow, see all the good things, love her
Mhm.
like I do, love them like we do. That's really what it is. And so that's what she gets that. She's like I said, she's a good writer. And I'm like, is you like the song? She's like, yeah, Dad, you did a good job. It's pretty good lyrics. I'm like, oh, thank you. Well, thank you.
Ava
She's
approved.
yeah.
Yeah. So how would you say in general, how has being the father of an autistic daughter changed your perspective on life?
It makes when you first have kids in general, the conception of self is gone, first and foremost, out of the gate. When I first had Ava, that day, I'll never forget it. All of a sudden, I wasn't as important as I used to be to myself anymore. There's an internal switch that goes off in your biology and your humanity to be like, I have to do everything to protect the life of this child, Everything goes out the window. When she was on the spectrum, that just got amplified. So that's kind of how it affected me to say that, oh, wow, okay, so this is what it is. And so now I'm going to be even more motivated to get her on a good path, to guide her, to make sure she's protected and all that stuff. That's kind of how it affected me.
Mhm.
My wife, the same, but that's, all parents, I believe, feel this, when they have a kid, they bring a child into the world, they feel that impulse to protect, to nurture, to care. And then when you have someone who's got the diagnosis, you're facing that together as family, it just amplifies that feeling of protect, nurture, care for.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense because in a way she needs you more.
Mhm.
She's more vulnerable. Yeah. So what have you learned from Ava? What has she taught you about life?
Never be complacent with anything. Complacency is the yeah, is the destruction of happiness. That's what I've learned. Because everything with her is constantly changing. Like I said before, it started out, oh, she's on the spectrum and she's, to not know a better term, highly functioning, okay, whatever we are calling that these days. But the thing is, it's like, okay. And then it turned into, well, maybe it's more Asperger's. She seems to be so highly functioning, she might not have as much autism anymore. And then it turned into, well, she's got these friends she's talking to in her mind. Maybe it's more a psychosomatic thing. There's never a point, there hasn't been a point in this process where we've been able to nail down from these doctors and stuff. And they're just trying to do their job. They're trying to help. what the situation is. And that's the problem. We've never been comfortable. So complacency does not exist. That's what I've learned from her with this whole thing. And grace and the way she deals with it and how she handles it. We, I think, put way more on them on what we expect as parents in general for our kids. And then, to have my daughter just kind of say, Dad, relax, you know, I'm doing fine. This is gonna, whatever. And I'm like, okay, okay, are you sure? So we're always the ones questioning every little tiny thing, every
Yeah.
little interaction that she has at school. And I just learned to be a little more patient and have a little more grace with this process because she's taught me that. So it's just hard when you want something so bad for your kid, and they're the ones that got to tell you, hey, Dad, calm down. They're telling you to calm down.
Yeah.
So it's an eye opener.
Yeah. You kinda just have to
Yeah,
trust that she's okay and that she can handle things.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she says that she can, and sometimes she can't, and it's like, okay, well, at least you're trying.
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
But you gotta let them fail. And I hate to say that. And that's something that my father, that was his thing with me. It's like they won't know how to win unless they lose, right? Not that
Yeah.
you want them to, but you can't be there for every moment they trip and get a scrape on their knee. They're gonna have these bumps in the road. And for a person on the spectrum, those bumps can be huge. But resilience is learned, I could think. It's a part of you. It's you either growing or you're dying, they say, right? So it's like you have to have the same sort of mentality, even with a person, I believe, on the spectrum, to let them go. And if they trip, they trip. But let's get them back up. Are they getting back up? And that's still a part of the process. You can't coddle them every step of the way, hoping that you're going to protect them from every little thing. That's just not right. That's just not. I shouldn't say right. That's just not reality. At least in our experience, that's you know, she's got to deal with the bullies. And she said in the song, I say, and she says it doesn't matter when the bully's laughing at her, and it's the truth. It bothers me. That's what hurts.
Mm.
It bothers me. It doesn't bother her. She could care less about those jerks. Wow. That's where I wish, I could be.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? That's
Right.
where the magic is in terms of like that's something strong. That's strength. That is strength. And so, going back to what you asked before, what I learned from her, that's strength, man. It's not total like, I don't care what they think. I know I'm cool, in my own
Yeah.
world or whatever.
Yeah.
And you gotta let them be and be okay with that. The
Mhm.
parent side of this equation is all I know, but it's challenging to say the least, to be able to try and understand what they're going through is, it's impossible really to fully understand it. But to have, because we have the empathy, and I think most of the frustrations that I felt as a parent was the outside world's reaction, not hers.
Yeah.
So learning from her reaction has helped me to better deal with their reaction. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Yeah, yeah,
And so, that has been so profoundly eye-opening for me,
yeah,
and it's just like, and then it's just like a duh moment. Like, well, duh, yeah, of course. Why couldn't I see that before? She saw it, you know?
right. Well, it's not easy. I mean, we're human and sensitive to judgment, and so when you're out in public sometimes with strangers who are looking at you because I'm not saying this was Ava, but I hear this from a lot of parents who struggle with meltdowns in public, for example, because they
Oh, yeah.
are worried about other people making comments or, so then it just prevents them from taking their kids out. And that's not good for anyone either.
Right. Yeah, there was some moments like that with her when she was really little. She didn't understand when it was cool to stim or not to stim.
Mhm.
Things like that. But she was, I could totally. We've been in situations where we ourselves at restaurants and stuff, and having another family who obviously has a child on the spectrum who's having more than just a tantrum. This is like a thing. We
Yeah.
recognize it when you're in the world. You see it immediately.
Yeah.
We just know. And we always made the effort to smile and look at them. It's like, we understand. We're here. for you. Don't feel alone.
Mm,
Without saying that, like there's a lot of positive energy in that. And then,
mm,
but there's just people in the world who can't cope, man, and it sucks. But don't not take your kids places, man. That's
yep,
their problem. Like this is what my daughter taught me. That is their problem, not
yeah,
yours. That's their problem. They're the ones that are uncomfortable. You should never be uncomfortable because of your children in a situation like that, or your family member, or whatever. That's the world's problem. I shouldn't say the world, but that's the people who are not accepting. And you can't change everybody. I get that. You can change a lot of people though. That's what I'm trying to do with this song. But at the same time, it's like I feel strongly that people need to, stand your ground, go out there and enjoy your time with your family. Because if anything I've learned through my experience in life, you got so much time and that's it. You never know when it's going to go. So I take full advantage of every opportunity I can take my family somewhere on a vacation or spend time with them or go to lunch or whatever. It's hyper important. So I hope and pray that people out there just realize that, hey, don't internalize their reaction. That's on them. You be happy in your world with you have just every right to be wherever you are as they do.
mhm. Let's close with one last question. And I know that you've already been talking about this advice for parents, but do you have any last tips for those who might be in the early days of embarking their journey? Like maybe they've just received the diagnosis. What would you say to them?
Well, take a deep breath. It's not going anywhere. And the advice I would have is to fully embrace everything that's coming for them, the good and the bad. But there's going to be good for sure. It might feel like the world's against you in the beginning, but I think the best advice I could give is find strength in yourself first, and talk to your partner or whoever else is in your life with that child, spouse or whatever, and build a coalition of people in your family that can help support that individual. And you're going to find that. And then once you do that, and you're sound in your own emotional state, then start looking to get the help. Early intervention, I said from the beginning, if you're early in the process, that's the best path, I believe, right now, at least from what I know. And don't take no for an answer. Go out there and knock on as many doors and get the help that you need. It's out there. People like, your organization, other organizations. If you're not getting the state help, look to organizations like, that help support people on the spectrum, autism awareness stuff. And just know that you're not alone. That's the most important thing. You're not alone. And it's not a fight. You're not alone in this fight. It's not a fight, It really isn't. The only fighting you're really having was with your own self and accepting what it is. Get rid of that. Accept it. Okay, now let's move forward. It's about helping. So
Yeah.
that's what my advice would be to them. I know, a little football talk. I used to be a football coach for my sons. I played and stuff. So I'm like, let go team. So sorry if I get a little coachy on you guys,
Uh,
but you got to beat it to win it, and that's kind of my mentality. And so be in it to win it for them. Just build your team around yourself and your child, and go get that W.
yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing your story with us. And the song, it is helping people feel that they're not alone. There's so much power in representation and storytelling. So, listeners to the podcast can go find your song on all platforms, right? It's out there.
Yeah, Apple Music, Spotify, Google, it's all out there.
Great. Well, thank you again, Russell.
Well, thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to hear more from autistic self-advocates, family members, and professionals in the field of autism services. By supporting our podcast, you'll be helping our mission to transform how the world relates to autism. Thanks for listening. Take care.